So, much to the dismay and horror of the European Union, J.D. Vance descended from the heaven and supported Viktor Orban before the next Hungarian elections. And the question is, why? Why is the United States interested in supporting a man that just blocked a 19 billion euro loan to Ukraine, especially when the United States is also supporting Ukraine? Well, there are multiple reasons for this, and if you actually understand how politics work, they make sense. The first important point is that Orban has actually supported Donald Trump during the elections. So you need to remember that when the Donald was running for re-election, people didn't actually see him as a winner. Like, most people expected that he would fail. And yet, despite all that, he managed to beat Kamala Harris. And so the politicians that actually had their money on the Donald, well, now they get rewarded. This is pretty much how it works in politics. You scratch his back, he scratches yours. And this is not just, a show of kindness or being a gentleman. Is to signal to other people and other politicians, like, look, if you support us, you get rewarded, right? So when J.D. Vance is going to Hungary in order to support Orban, it's not necessarily viewed that the United States is doing that at an institutional level. It's viewed as the Republicans, right? The MAGA part of the Republican Party is going to Hungary in order to support Orban. Now, there are other reasons which are interesting in pointing out. And this has to do with the immigration crisis. Now, if you look at Europe, Western Europe have openly embraced immigration. And they wanted as many Muslims as possible. Like, they had to depopulate the Middle East agenda. I want every single person from Syria, every single person from the Middle East to come and live supported by the British taxpayer, the French taxpayer, the Spanish taxpayer. And what this actually caused was a realignment in geopolitical interests. Because if you look at the current conflict with Iran, if this would have happened 10 years ago, I guarantee, there's no doubt about it, that the United Kingdom would have been involved. Like, they would have sent their own navy, they would have sent troops over there. Regardless if you assume this is a good thing or not, the reality is the UK's foreign policy was very well aligned with the Americans. This just a couple of years ago, during Trump's first presidency, when it was, oh my goodness, Bashar al-Assad, he is winning his revolutionary war, but now he decided to gas his people. Oh, he passed the red lines. We need to go in. And you had the joint force, where it was France, the UK, the United States, going in there, and they blew up a couple of airports and they came back. But this caused a lot of outrage in Trump's first presidency, because everyone was like, well, he's the president that promised no more foreign wars. Like, what are we doing back there? However, the idea was that France and the UK would respond to America's leadership, right? And so, from America's point of view, to see how we went from that to where we are now, they have to wonder what happened. And what happened is the immigration. Because if you import a lot of people from the Middle East that have their own grievances and their own problems, they bring those grievances and problems wherever you imported them, into Europe. And so now if you're a politician in Britain, well, you have actual constituents that may actually be the children of the people you imported, or the people that you imported that have gotten citizenship, right? Or even the ones without citizenship, they can still protest. It looks bad on cameras. And so they now have to take into account of the opinions of the pro-Palestinians, of the opinions of the Muslims, and so on and so forth, because otherwise they can lose their seats. And so they can't actually follow America's leadership. Now, again, I'm not making a point in whether or not this is a good thing or a bad thing, like if you agree with Keir Starmer's decisions or not. I'm just explaining America's rationale on why they don't like Europe having mass immigration. Because all of a sudden, the whole relationship that they built among decades since World War II is in jeopardy, right? Like, if Europe is importing the exact type of people that America is bombing, and then Europe starts being influenced by those people, well, obviously the sentiment is going to be a little bit anti-American, isn't it? And so when they look at someone like Viktor Orban, well, they see a person that's actually against that ideology. Because Viktor Orban is a openly proud nationalist, he is anti-immigration, he is hostile to the European Union and the liberal NGO order. He openly calls himself illiberal on cameras by his own description. Is also fused with a Christian civilizational frame. And so the Trump arm of the Republican Party wants some people like that in Europe, right? Like they want some counter-ideological push. They don't want the European Union to be the only voice on the continent because it goes against the Republicans' interests. And it's also interesting to point out that while the European Union is squealing right now that, oh my goodness, foreign interference in our election, people should not forget that Europe also interfered in America's election. Not the European Union per se, but the United Kingdom, for example, right? Like the United Kingdom with the BBC has published falsehoods about Donald Trump. Those falsehoods were then copied by the Lugan Press from Europe. The BBC is getting sued because of those falsehoods. They had politicians and activists from Labor trying to support Kamala Harris and influence elections in the US. So this is not unusual. However, if this has become the meta and you have politicians in various nations supporting their political equivalents from other powers, then it is existential for the Republicans that they also support politicians that are more aligned to them ideologically from Europe. Makes sense. Now, regarding Viktor Orban blockading the aid package to Ukraine, well, as I mentioned before, it's pretty much how it works, right? Like, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. So, like, if the U.S. is helping Orban win elections, now Orban is going to be indebted to the United States, more specifically to the Republican Party. And so, if the Republican Party will come with an ask, chances are the doors in Hungary will be open because they will remember like who helped them in a difficult time. Again, this is pretty much how politics work, and it's not like at a political level, it's at a human level. Like if you're in difficulty and a neighbor helps you out, right, especially if the difficulty is really big, then when the neighbor comes with an ask, well, you do feel like you have a moral obligation, right? Of course, depending on what the ask is. But usually you do feel like you have a moral obligation to return the favor. Now, there's also something more interesting in what J.D. Vance has said. And J.D. Vance has pointed out that the European Union is interfering in Hungary's elections. And this goes against the narrative of what the European Union is saying. They're basically saying that, you know, we have like this shield, like we're forcing social media companies to protect against disinformation, misinformation. What they're not saying is who gets to decide what is this and misinformation. Because the people working in the European Union, well, they're people like you and I, right? Like, if you don't know what misinformation is, how does the person from Europe know? Well, the same way you do, right? But what if they are having other interests? Like, people that work for the government, they're usually ideologically aligned, right? Like, they have their own personal opinions. How do you know that sometimes they don't let some misinformation that's against Orban slip by? Or that some things that are truth, they consider the misinformation. Well, you don't. And this is what J.D. Vance is actually talking about. He's basically saying, well, hold on a little bit. You guys, like, are complaining that the United States is interfering in Europe's elections, but you guys are interfering in there. You know, the European Union is not supposed, it's a trade treaty, it's not supposed to interfere in Hungary's election cycle. Now, let me tell you what's it like on the ground, right? Like for the people that live in Eastern Europe. In Western Europe, you have like these constant accusations that end any discussion, right? Like if you use this on another person, is the end of conversation. It used to be racist, right? Like if you're a racist, then the conversation is over. No platform for fascists, right? If you're a sexist, that's not in vogue anymore, but it used to be. If you're transphobic, Islamophobic, like these are conversations enders. Now it's pedophilic, right? If you're a pedophile, And that now carries a very loose definition. Like I've seen it used for people that support Donald Trump. Why? Because the left has decided that the Epstein files are what defines him. And so if you support Donald Trump, you're a pedophile as well. And the conversation is over, right? So like these are stigma labels that are attached to any type of dissident against mass migration. And so like the media will label you and that's it. Like you're done. In Eastern Europe, it doesn't work that way because we have different values. We just don't give a shit about, like I don't care what morality the person has. All I care is like, does he do a good job? Like, okay, he's associated with the Epstein file. That's nice. Who isn't nowadays? Now tell me, can he fix the economy? Can I wake up the next morning without worrying about the gas bills? Is it possible that I will have enough money to take my wife and my son to a vacation? Yeah? I don't fucking care if he is the Epstein himself. Can he do this? This is the only requirement. If he can't do it, then fucking put him in prison. If he can't do it, give him a pardon. Okay? Just have him improve my life. And so when this is the mentality that Eastern Europeans have, well, a lot of the woke shit from the West doesn't work here. And so the question is, what does work here? Well, what works here is Russia fear-mongering, right? Because like we're next to Russia, and the European doesn't care so much as the morality of the politician. He cares more, is the horror from the trench war in Ukraine going to arrive here? And so if you're anti-establishment, if you're anti-Brussels, then you're with Putin, right? Like there is no other way. And of course, Donald Trump is the man of the Kremlin. That, seriously, like this is what the media is pushing. So if you're with Donald Trump, you're with Putin. The only safety from Putin, like the only place on earth where Putin cannot reach, is the sacred borders of the European Union. So Ursula von der Leyen is the mother that hugs Europe, and she is protecting us from evil Putin. And so if you tell a European that's mentally damaged, and they generally think this, that the European Union is interfering with our elections, they will say, good, they should. They keep us safe from Putin. Right? Like Putin has brainwashed our citizens through TikTok and has made them vote incorrectly. And so if the European Union steps in and is safeguarding our elections, that's a good thing. And so the conversation with these individuals is very difficult to have. But again, it's kind of like in the West, right? Like in the West, if you're supporting Donald Trump and they say, oh, so you're supporting a pedophile, there is no more conversation after that. Like, there is nothing worth debating. There is no more arguments to be made, right? Like, it has gone to the realm of level 11 emotional. And so, any type of conversation that's had after that is not productive. And so, will J.D. Vance actually manage to swing a couple of votes? Probably yes. Probably yes. And I'll tell you why. Because again, the people that are brain damaged by the media, they're not told what America is like. They're not told what Donald Trump is actually like. These are people that they go to work, they come home, they watch a little bit of television, and they go to sleep so they can go to work again tomorrow, right? And so what the media tells them is what they believe. And when they actually see a real-life American that they can touch, smell, and hear, their entire worldview may actually shift. Most likely it's not going to cause a huge shift, but like even a 1 or 2% in a very tight race may be enough. So this is why Europe is panicking, because they're aware of this, right? The J.D. Vance has broken containment. So I hope you guys now understand a little bit more of what happened. And as usual, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.